What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about 4 different Grayscale trusts today: BCHG, LTCN, GXLM, and GSOL, at the request of Jack on the Box, David Stevenson, Flight Medic, and April BB. We're doing this for you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. So BCHG, finding support at these, finding another higher low, kind of in this range. What you've done, I think, is you've broken out of this downtrend here that you had, broke out of it, and you back tested it here, right? That's essentially what you did. And found support, right? Last month, I think it's very important to mention, right? Last month, BCHG dropped 23.5%. BCH last month dropped, or didn't drop, I'm sorry, it went up 46.8%. So BCHG had a bit of a divergence in price from BCH. Already this month, we're up 23%, basically engulfing last month's loss. Okay, 23%, we're already up 23% in the first 2 days of the month, right? Bitcoin Cash this month is only up 8%. So you can see the pace is picking up for BCHG, right? We're seeing this where that divergence in price, BCH is moving up and then BCHG is moving down. We're seeing it come back, right? It is at a faster pace now. Now we just need the follow through. We need a real breakout move, a true breakout move, right? You've already broken the downtrend. I think that's established. We back tested it for support. This is the area, this is the time when I would expect that we do break out of this. What do I mean by break out of this? I mean, we've been moving up like this now for a little bit since September. Been moving up like that, breaking out of this to the upside. I believe with each move that we made up, right, move here, rejected, move up here, rejected, this next move is going to be the one that passes through it, breaks to the upside, and sends us to new relative highs on the for the cycle. Looking at this here, the next immediate targets that I would consider, just based on the resistance zone that we've been seeing, would probably be the golden ratio, right? $12.52 to $14.12. At the rate of growth that we've been seeing on this weekly aspect, it would almost look like that would happen by the end of the year. But I don't think we're going to be this high by the end of the year. I think we'll be much higher. I would expect that this week, over the coming weeks, we're probably like over the next like rest of this week and going into next week, we'll probably make our run up to this high area, something around $12 to $13 probably. And then going into the end of the month, we'll start to make strides higher toward like $16, $17, $19, $20, something like that. Toward the end of the month, end of the year, and then going into the end of the move, which should probably be by the end of January, I think you'll see these prices up at like $37, $67. And that's just all, that all depends on how it wants to move. If in 2 weeks' time, if by the time it's Christmas, you're already up here, there's a very solid chance that you could be up here by the end of the year, especially, before like too late in January, right? Let alone how far you could go by the end of this move, right? This move overall, it's hard. Timing's the hardest part, and that's why I'm getting a little caught up here. I'm trying to really just say that I think this move is going to take us up to this area, right? We won't be moving up in a straight line. There will be snags along the way, but I think that we will be in this area by the end of January. We could be in this area as early as the end of December, but likely we'd be in the lower two areas, more likely like something around here below $40, right, by the end of December. But then by the end of January, we continue to grow more. It wouldn't be surprising, and it's not concerning at all, if by the end of December we were only down here, we weren't even above $20. We still have more than enough time to make these kind of runs going higher, because I think everything's going to be really bullish going into the end and the beginning of the new year. But yeah, BCHG, 761 right now. 37.53, 67.10, very likely targets in the next month and a half, 2 months, something like that. Yeah, not even 2 months would it be? Month and a half. Yeah, let's say month and a half. And then within this month, something that's more than 100% of a growth, then maybe even as close to like 200% growth by the end of this month, but we'll see. Anyways, BCHG looking good, looking frisky. I like the weekly RSI. It looks very good. The daily RSI as well, looking good. It was getting overbought here, and you came down, you broke out of your uptrend, and you couldn't even get oversold, and now you're back above the 50. Looking fresh, looking fine. I really do like where you found support here. Volume's coming in a little bit. It doesn't look like the most volume, but it is above average volume that's been coming in. I would expect, again, as I said in the beginning of this video, that this attempt will be the attempt that breaks us above this trend line. Just because I'm saying that doesn't mean we can't find resistance at first. We could, and then break out later. We have resistance back here, going back here. Previous resistance point here even. Somewhat of a support zone there, and then a resistance point going back here with a gap in the middle. There probably will be some resistance in that $12 to $13 area, but that's where we're going. I don't expect us to pass through it on day one, but within the week, within a couple days even, yes, we'll probably consolidate and then blast on through. But that's it for BCHG. That's it for BCHG. Let's talk about LTCN now. LTCN for David Stevenson. Is it Stevenson or Stevens? I think it's Stevens. David Stevens. I'm sorry, not David Stevenson. David Stevens. I should know that. I'm sorry. $20. Here we are at $20 for LTCN. Bit of a different story here, right? We look at LTC, USD. On a monthly basis last month, it was up 48% for Litecoin, right? Litecoin was up 48%. LTCN only down 9.6%. Not as much of a disparity in the price growth. And then this month already, you're up 35% for LTCN. Litecoin itself is up 26%. So we are seeing that pace pick up a little bit, but it's got more catching up to do, right? You still have a lot more catching up to do. I believe this price it's not being held down. It was being held down, and now it's being released. So you're surfacing. You're coming to the surface of that pressure, keeping you down. Let's just say underwater. I don't know if underwater is the right term, but it's been holding you down below where you should be. And I do believe right now, kind of like BCHG, you're getting a glimpse into the future, bouncing off this. I think this attempt is what's going to break you out here, right? You might find resistance. You might be finding resistance now, maybe for the end of the week even. You consolidate here. But I would bet next week, you guys, if not by the end of this week, next week, you'll start to see prices that are above $25 for LTCN, right? If not by the end of this week, next week, prices above 20. And when I say above $25, I mean probably more likely above like $30, $35 even. You got $20 now. So LTCN, if you've been having a fun week, up 35%. If you're having a fun week this week, I think it's only going to get better next week and as the month progresses, right? Like I said, with the native asset, he had 48% growth last month. This one had 10% loss. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was on the weekly. It had a 9.6% loss, pretty close to 10% loss. There's a what's happened? Oh my goodness. Hold on. I don't know what that was, guys. I thought I heard something. It was weird. But that's okay. Sorry for the little intrusion there. I thought I heard either a cat or a person. Both my cats are inside. I thought I even saw one, but it's hard to see with this glass, right? It's all like reflective out there. But anyways, sorry, got a little distracted there. Had to check on things. My cats were like wigging out. It got me a little wigged out there. But all right, so all that to say, guys, I think LTCN's moving up. You've got some catching up to do. That's what I got distracted on. Right? You've got catching up to do. Yes, you're up 35% this week. Yes, you're up 35% this month. That's nice. But with the disparity you had last month, I think you have a lot of catching up to do. So as much fun as you're having now, it doesn't stop here. The party's just getting started, right? It's just getting started to the point that you're up 35% this week. That's the biggest week green that you've had since March, right? You haven't had this big of a upside move on a week from open to close. We haven't closed yet, but you haven't seen this kind of move since March, essentially. It doesn't stop here. It's just getting started. It's literally a good time to buy, even at these prices, even at $20, even at this 35% up this week over the last 2 days. It's still at a good time to buy because on the monthly RSI, you're bouncing off of your 50. You literally just bounced off your 50. The last time that you crossed above your 50 here and got going, I mean, that was here. You went from 410 all the way up to $58, $57 in the course of, what is that, 8 months, 7 months, something like that. Let's see. From the low to the high, 8 months, yeah. So, and I think you've got just as much, if not more, growth coming your way. So, by the end of this month, I would say LTCN at the rate that it's growing, I definitely would expect it's at $37 to $45 yet, $20 now. You really do have a chance of being above $54 by the end of this month. But by the end of this move, which I think will probably be, in the end of January, you'll probably be at this area, 88 to 113. Maybe as high as 162, somewhere in this area, something like that by the end of January. Consolidate a little bit in this area, maybe even below it, and then going into April, I think you'll start making a run towards your all-time highs and new all-time highs even after that. So LTCN looking frisky. Of course, if I'm wrong, if you're not here by the end of December and you're up here, right? If you're higher, the targets that I'm talking about, all of them will shift up. All of them will. So the higher you go in the shorter amount of time, the better for this thing. And you are dealing with a repressed price that's just the pressure that's been holding it down has just been released. So let's see how far and how fast this thing wants to surface. Let's see how it does. It's already doing well this week, up 35%. You know, LTCN up 8% this week. So LTCN's up 35%. LTC is only up 8%. So that speaks volumes, I think, to the rate of growth that we're going to continue to see going through the rest of this month and the rest of this move. Right? I told you guys. I've been telling you. And I'm gonna toot my own horn for a second here. Right? And I didn't tell all of you. Not all of you needed to be told this. But damn it, every single time we're at these lows, every single time I said, you're going to forget about all your fear, and all it's going to take is the price to move up. That's it. How many? There's no fear. The only people shitting themselves right now are the people who've got short positions, right? And apparently there's a lot of that going on. So perfect for a short squeeze. It makes sense why you're moving up. Anyways, that's all I got for LTCN. Let's move on. GXLM. Got distracted with whatever. I don't even know if you guys could hear it on the microphone. It was like loud enough. I thought it was a cat, but then there's like a part of me that thought it might have been a person. I don't know. Cats can do that, man. When I went outside, when I opened the door, I thought I heard somebody close their door, so maybe they like let their cat in that was like meowing at them. I don't know. Anyways, $58. GXLM's at $58. Let's look at the underlying asset, XLM. All right, last month, XLM with a whopping 470%, beautiful. GXLM with 204%, beautiful, but still, right, not as much as what we should see. It's not tit for tat with XLM, and in fact, being that it's a Grayscale trust, should leave the door open for a premium to be able to grow, right? There already is a premium here, but I just mean any growth in this underlying asset, you would expect that premium to grow as well. So I do believe, like the other two trusts, GXLM has some catching up to do. And you're kind of doing it, right? The underlying asset's down 3% for the month already, and this trust is up 5%. So you're making sense, right? You've got more to go. I would say by the end of this month, by the end of December, you're probably going to be up in that $100 area, $100 to $200 area, and then by the end of January. Well, let's see. Actually, hold on. XLM might pull back. Hold on. Let me think about this real quick, because I bet you do find resistance here. I really do. High to low, 886. You hit it. Probably pull back to, and you already have, haven't you? Yes, you have. Already pulled back to the 786, but you just found resistance on the 886. You're probably going to pull back down. So you're going to do one of two things. XLM, Stellar Lumens. Stellar Lumens is going to do one of two things. Either A, moves down to the 786, moves down about 15% from here, finds support there again, and then moves up, and then we break through and continue on. Or B, you pull back further. You can go as low as 53% from the current price. Yes, you could go as low as like 23 cents, 25 cents. It's possible. Or maybe you hold 30 cents. There's a lot. I did some analysis on XLM last night, an individual video, an independent video, and there's a lot suggesting like 28 to like 35 cents. There's a lot going on over there. Equal to there being a lot around this 38 cents, 39 cents, 45 cent area, the 786. So again, if you find support here, it's at least a 14% drop, 15% drop from here. You'll probably go down a little bit and then bounce, or you could go down a whole lot more. If you go down more, I would expect December to actually be maybe a consolidation month. After all, you ran up a lot last month. You could, while the rest of crypto moves up, you could see this thing consolidate for most of December. And then going into the end of the month, going into January, that's whenever it breaks higher. With that in mind, and I think that's true, you've been overbought for a little while, right? Your volume's dying off. We take all the fibs off. You can see your volume's dying off. You made another attempt. There's no follow through. In fact, the biggest volume that you had on the second attempt was the red days, the days that sold off, right? You were overbought. Now you're not. I have a feeling that this at least would take you like pretty far down here, right? You could see that 15% drop with that. Find some support down here, around the 40 in the RSI, around this trend line, whatever. I don't know if you'll break that. You don't have to go that low, but just something, it looks like you're geared for something lower. So I definitely would expect XLM to go down. So don't be surprised if GXLM does go down. I was saying, and what got me all tripped up, why I was analyzing the underlying assets so much, is because I was thinking, just looking at this chart, you're going to move straight up to here. And you will. You basically will just move straight up to there. But, maybe saying $100, $110 by the end of the month, I could see that happening. $200, maybe not by the end of the month. That could be like an end of the move kind of thing. It depends on how long you consolidate for and how much you move up. Again, XLM, the underlying asset, it can consolidate. It could move down 15%. And as crazy as it is, GXLM could move up even while the underlying asset's moving down. It's not common. It does not happen all the time, but it does happen. It wouldn't be crazy at all if GXLM pulled back to like 47 bucks, maybe even as low as like 35 bucks. It wouldn't be crazy. It wouldn't be bad. It doesn't have to do that. But regardless of what it does in the immediate term, whether it consolidates and then moves up, it pulls back and then it moves up, or it just moves up, it's going to move up, right? We're going to see prices above $100 here probably by the end of this month, and I would expect by the end of this move, right, like this more immediate move that we're participating in, probably toward the end of January, I think you'd see $200, maybe higher, maybe higher. It's hard to say because there is some catch-up that's needing to be done with GXLM, so you could see this thing like really propel itself higher this month. It's hard to say. I would go with the same thing that I've been saying with the other ones, right? This is where you're expected to be like by the end of the move, this whole area, right? More specifically, like in this area by the end of December, this area by the end of January, but those targets all shift up if you hit them sooner, right? So if like by the end of December you're at 200, maybe by the end of January we're looking as high as 311, 278, maybe 600. This thing has a lot of catching up to do. Again, the underlying asset moving up 469%, and the trust moving up only 200%. That's grossly that is a large underrepresentation of what should have happened for GXLM, right? 400% growth in the underlying asset should mean like an 800% growth in this, kind of, right? It doesn't mean that. It doesn't actually have to mean that. That's not true, but that's what I would at least expect. Like these trusts, that's how they move. That really is how they. So I see GXLM at the moment, it's at 58 bucks. It needs to play catch up to 170, $200, that area. So I'm serious when I say you could really see XLM move down over the coming weeks. GXLM might just move up. And that's why I was saying, I was like, whether it consolidates and then it moves up, whether it pulls back and then it moves up, or it just moves up, it's gonna move up. It's been released just like LTCN, right? They had their heads being held down under the water, and now, or like it was a beach ball being held down underwater, right? And finally it's been let go. They're not above the surface. They haven't blown up yet. They're not in the sky, but they are surfacing. They're coming through the water, right? And you know that because we're still, I'm using this analogy, I hope it makes sense, because we're still at this disparity in the price growth, right? The underlying assets still have outperformed the Grayscale Trust, so these have catching up to do. Because of that, I think you could see the underlying asset correct, which it makes sense that it would correct here, while simultaneously seeing the trust move up. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Wouldn't that be hilarious? I'm not saying that it's going to happen just because it's hilarious, but wouldn't it be hilarious if everybody was worried that the trusts were broken because they were moving down while the underlying assets were moving up? And now you see the underlying assets underperform and then the trusts catch back up. Like it would just be ironic, I guess. But it happens. It does happen. But anyways, that's the best I've got for GXLM. I hope that makes sense. GSOL is the next one. April BB, you had a specific request, if I remember. I wrote a bunch of stars next to it to remind myself that you had a kind of special request. So I'm going to run through here and look at the Discord requests real quick. Hold up now. Be patient, people. I appreciate you all for being here. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content. You know it. You know it. Why the volatility and what's the future of this trust? That was your question. Why the volatility and what's the future with this trust? So everybody has different opinions, different facts, but they're all different opinions, right? My opinion, which I very much believe to be a fact, and the only reason I say his opinion is because there's other people who believe their opinions to be fact who would say that my opinion's wrong. I think their opinion's wrong. A lot of people think that this GSOL trust sold off because of the private placement sales. And maybe that's true. I don't know. That's the buzz going around. I don't think it sold because of private placement sales. I mean, in part, maybe, as part of the cascade of events that led it. But so did all the other Grayscale trusts, or basically all of them. Where was their huge correction near their NAV price? Where was that? How come GSOL is the only one that made a lower low from March? You know what I mean? Like all the way, well, I guess That's actually not true. Actually, it actually isn't. I think it just took the longest to form a lower low from March, to be completely fair. Not the right point to make. What I'm trying to say, though, is regardless of who's right, who's wrong, maybe it pulled back because of PP sales selling off. Maybe it pulled back because the ETFs for Solana that are being filed for, they seem to be more seriously considered. It seems to be a reality that a Solana ETF is in the future. And I think that's why we're correcting right now. And you can see it, right? We're definitely going to go lower than we are now in GSOL. As far as your question goes, like what's up with the volatility, I think it is just simply the best answer is it's just standard volatility. Even if you have a date with destiny to your NAV price, right? You're not going to move down there all in one fell swoop. Your NAV price is here now. You basically did move down to your NAV price, but at this time it was down to like 73. So you're not just going to move down all in one fell swoop. You're going to have a little what they call a dead cat bounce or just a random bounce, whatever, a little bit of support, and you back tested previous areas of support for resistance, right? That's what you did, and then you moved down. Of course you did, right? Of course you did. You broke some serious structure in this chart. A lot of volume on the move down, not as much volume on the way up, and then the volume seemed to be more consistent as well on the way down. You had a little bit of volume here on the way up, but how much of that was buying, how much of that was selling, I don't know, but it looks like you had a consistent bit on the way down, and then turning it around here, that was when that volume started to pick up again to the downside. I don't think you find support here. I do think you go lower. Okay, this fib structure actually looks pretty good for a move down, I think. Doesn't mean it has to, but yeah, the 3 hour looks like shit. The daily looks like shit. The daily looks like it's ready to go down more. I could have saved all this words that I'm using and just looked at the daily and been like, there's no doubt, man, it's gonna move lower. But I don't think it's gonna move lower than this low. If it were to move lower than this low, you'd have to go on a discount, and I don't think it's gonna happen for GSOL, one of their more high volume trusts, right? Let's see, NAV price, 84.82, right? And that's probably because Solana recently pulled back a little bit, because it was at 90 recently. Yeah, so it pulled back a little bit. Solana looks like it wants to rip, right? Looking at the daily RSI here, this looks like it wants to rip, right? So how come I'm saying Solana looks like it wants to rip, but GSOL looks like it wants to move down? Because GSOL is not at its NAV price. ETF is getting approved. It's going to go to its NAV price. Back here, I was saying its NAV price is at 73, so you had a date with that. But I also said that doesn't mean you actually have to go down there, right? Because by the time like you, I wasn't expecting this pullback to be this intense. But I think I did say it could pull back to this area like back test, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say, guys, getting all carried away here, is back here I was saying it was probably going to go lower to 70, 73, because that's where the NAV price is. The NAV price is what my prediction was, not the actual number 73. I said 73 because that was the NAV price. So even though, yes, now the NAV price is up at 84, even though, yes, the target now, the drawback is higher, it's still the same target. It's the NAV price. GSOL, the Grayscale Trust, is moving down to its NAV price. You don't get this kind of volume, this kind of selling off alone from PP sales. I mean, maybe somebody bought a lot of GSOL. Maybe somebody took it upon themselves and bought a lot of GSOL in the private placement sales, and they did sell it all off. I don't know. But however you want to look at it, whether it's that, whether it's what I'm thinking, which is the ETFs getting approved, both are reasons for it to go back to NAV price, right? If there's someone with that much buying power that bought the private placements and they're selling, well, they bought it at NAV price, it'll probably continue to drop. It makes sense that it would, right? As long as they're in profits, they're going to sell. And then if it's my theory, well, it's very obvious as to why it would be tethered to the NAV price, because it'd be if the ETFs do get approved, if it's looking realistic, which I think it is. I think it's undeniable at this point that we are going to get a Solana ETF in this cycle soon, right? Relatively soon. It'll be the next one to get an ETF. That's why I think this is going to go to its NAV price. I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over again, so I'm going to stop talking. Probably moving down. You're at 168. Solana looks like it wants to move up, so it probably does. By the time GSOL moves down to where Solana will be moving up in its NAV price, let's see. I'm just guessing. This is a wild guess, but maybe Solana's up another 20%. Maybe over the next week or two. So maybe over the next week or two, GSOL drops, or I guess where would the 20% from 84 be? 84 basically there, right? Because it's a little bit more, but 20% would be right around there, around like 104, 105. Nope, a little bit lower, I'm sorry. 102. So we probably pull back to around $100, $102. Wouldn't that be perfect for psychological level? You probably pull back there because of NAV price, and then you'll see this thing run basically just with Solana. Then from there, it'll start to move back up. That's my genuine prediction with GSOL. So a little bit of downside, and then it's going to eat this whole move down that it lost. And that's the beauty of these trusts in a certain light, right? Even though they have the ETF potential to scare you, even though that will greatly diminish, it would erase your premiums. The underlying assets they're holding are so bullish that the premium can erase. You can drop a straight, in a 3-day period, drop a straight 77%. And because your underlying asset is so bullish, you'll make that back in time. You're going to make that back and more, right? I definitely think Solana will be worth more than $1,000, if not at least around $1,000 by the end of this cycle. So GSOL, yes, while I do think it will be tethered to the NAV price, I think you'll see that premium dissolve. It already basically has. It has a chance for the premium to grow, from the NAV price, but I don't think it'll be even as large as it is now, right? Like it's basically at a 2x premium now. I don't think you'll get more than like a 0.5 premium, 0.5x. 1.5x premium, not 0.5. 0.5 would be a discount. Anyways, I'm done talking. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I got nothing else to say to you guys. The GSOL chart looks bearish. The Solana chart looks bullish. I would expect that the GSOL chart starts to look bullish once it's returned to NAV price, and that would probably be somewhere around $100, basing the general trajectory of Solana, what I would expect to see over the coming days, coming weeks, and same thing for GSOL. So, ta-ta for now. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. I'm going to make sure... what's the future of this trust? Just to answer it really quickly too, April B, because I feel like I might have not answered that, or maybe I did, but just indirectly. The future of the GSOL trust, I think, is to be tethered to the NAV price. That's my thoughts. Yes, so the future of this trust lies very much in the hands of this price. And don't they all to their underlying assets, but, if I see Solana only growing from here, come on now, there we go. Only growing up to 1,000, which it genuinely might only hit 1,000. It could go above. There's other targets above 1,000, but that's 358%. 358% from 84, right? It's basically like down there. 380%. That basically put us back to where we were before we sold off. So that's the future of this trust. Probably the whole rest of the cycle working back just to get above $400, above 500 if you're lucky. That's my thoughts. That's my genuine thoughts. And another thing, actually, before I go, I keep doing this, but I'm gonna do it right now. Before I go, if you have substantial losses with this project, with this trust, with GSOL, I would say now might be a good time to sell for a loss. You could sell for a loss, buy back in a month, if you wanted to buy back to this trust or buy back another trust, right? It's very important. If you sell for a loss, you want to claim taxes because it is the end of the year. It'd be a good time to do that. You can't buy back within a 30-day period, 31-day period, I think, because then it negates your losses. Then you don't have any losses. It's the wash trading rule. So you could sell this for a loss if you're on like Robinhood, or I don't know if it's available on Robinhood, but whatever exchange. If you took the money you sold from this trust and you put it in Solana, you'd grow more overall than GSOL probably will, because it has to go down before it can move up. And you wouldn't have to wait 31 days because you're selling a security or a stock for a crypto, right? So you wouldn't have to wait 30 days to buy Solana. You can sell GSOL, claim your losses, buy Solana, and then reap the benefits without having to wait for this thing to catch up to its NAV price before it can start moving up. That'd be a really safe play in my opinion. Or you could take that time again to sell here, claim the losses, and then just buy something else. Maybe a crypto stock. Probably not a Grayscale trust, because I'm not a tax expert. Okay, I'm not, but I've done a fair amount of research with this stuff, right? Because I care. I'm gonna have to pay taxes. You know what I mean? Like we all have to. So I'm not 100% sure if this is true, but I think if you sell GSOL and then you bought LTCN or BCHG within that same 31-day period, I'm pretty sure that would also null your losses because it's of a like product. You can't, even though it's not the exact same stock, it's of a like product. So you could sell, but even though it's crypto related, you could sell this and then buy a crypto mining stock, and that would be acceptable, I think, because it's different. It's not a crypto trust; it's a different thing. So, just thoughts. I'm not encouraging or recommending anybody sell here. I wouldn't say buy, but if you were, it's the end of the year. If you are looking to take a little bit of a benefit from this downside, which there's always benefits up or down, there's always benefits if you take the opportunity into your own hands. If you don't, those benefits go away, right? Like down here, if you took the benefit to sell and claim your losses, boom, benefits in your hands, right? You've already got some time. That was back in November 8th. It's almost been a month. You have the opportunity to buy back. It'll probably pull back down even, right? You'll have the opportunity to buy back at the same areas, and you claim the losses, right? But if you sit on it, if you just wait, you don't jump on that opportunity, the price moves back up, you can't claim the losses anymore, at least not as severe. If the price moves up and you don't jump on the opportunity to sell, the price will move back down, and then you miss that opportunity. So whether it moves up, whether it moves down, there's always opportunities to be had if you capitalize on it, right? And the opportunity right now, again, I'm not advocating for a sell necessarily, but if you are looking for an option to make the most out of the situation, I think claiming losses, depending on how significant they are, is worth it, and depending on your strategy. But if it all sounds too complicated for you, or it sounds like too much work, or you don't want to risk it, because it is implied risk when you try to play the game. There's definitely added risk there. If you just wait less than 6 months, this thing will be back to where it was, right? It'll be back to where it was before this big drop. So if you're in the red and all you care about is just bringing your money back and not taking a loss at all, then just wait. If you want to make the most out of the situation, claim your losses. Don't buy a like asset or this asset for at least 31 days. Buy something else or park your money somewhere, and then claim your losses. And then boom, that makes taxes less for 2024 that you have to pay in 2025. You could buy it back in 2025, and then you don't have to worry about taxes till 2026, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But I'm rambling. I'm just going on too many things. Food for thought, things to think about. And it's not just GSOL. There's plenty of things, even not stock related, that you could take losses on, right? Crypto, what's beautiful about crypto is you don't have that wait rule. You can just sell when it's down. You can just sell and buy back in that same moment, and then you get to claim the loss. It's beautiful. But anyways, I'm rambling. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye. Hit that like button. Adios.